There's a specific reason why videos of people living in their cars are getting millions of views right now. It's not about empathy, it's voyeurism. We're peeking into the intimate lives of people in vulnerable positions who are either willing or desperate enough to share them. While some creators genuinely document their journey out of instability, others are riding a wave of what sociologists call poverty porn. So in this video, we're attempting to answer the question, are these creators documenting a crisis, or is poverty just the internet's new hustle? And more importantly, who's actually profiting? Looking at the phrase poverty porn, you might feel confused about what these two words are doing together. It's similar than it sounds. Poverty porn is the exploitation of poverty for emotional manipulation or profit. Think of it this way. When you see a campaign or someone online exploiting their own struggle or someone else's vulnerable position, specifically living in poverty, for views, donations, or engagement, that's poverty porn. Do you remember those commercials with starving African children asking you to donate just a penny a day to feed a child in Africa? Sad music playing, flies on faces, extreme desperation on display. Now yes, poverty and food insecurity exists in parts of Africa, but these campaigns create a single, dehumanizing narrative that all of Africa is full of malnourished people living in huts, waiting for saviors to rescue them. This led to people across Africa actively pushing against these portrayals and showcasing their actual living conditions, which are far more diverse and complex than these ads suggest. How is this poverty porn? Well, let's go over a few things. It reduces the complex systematic issues to emotional manipulation. It presents people as helpless objects of pity, not humans with agency. It profits from the worst moments of a person's life. It does nothing to address root causes. Now, let's look at how there is a new spin to these terms in the 21st century. So this shows as living in car vlogs, homeless with children or kids family channels, living in tent channels, and we lost everything videos, the ones that have been popular within the recent years, right? People enjoy this content because it makes them feel grateful for their living or their life experiences in their current situation. Here's a question for you. If you're making at least $10,000 a month filming your poverty, are you still poor or are you just performing for a profit? So let's go over the differences between documentation and exploitation. So documentation, that's basically sharing your story to raise awareness, showing systematic failures, advocating for change, being honest with yourself and others about your situation, and maintaining dignity and respect for yourself, which means you deserve to keep certain things private in your life. We're in the day of age of people just sharing way too much. Now, exploitation, performing for views, putting yourself in others in harm's way, clickbaiting, suffering, and exaggerating circumstances for engagement. One of the primary issues with this content is when children are involved. If an adult wants to film their life and their circumstances, that's one thing. But adding children to something they cannot express their thoughts, feelings, or consent about, or to, is another. So let's go over 2 case studies. Brazilian Jenkins is a family that became popular online for having multiple children living in extremely small spaces like vans, RVs, tiny apartments, and hotels. They've embraced a nomadic lifestyle despite having young children who most child development experts will argue need stability and space. Stephanie Jenkins, the mother, showcases as much of the family's life as possible, and people watch for multiple reasons, including fascination, and also waiting for a crash, which we've seen 2 of these things. So people might be interested in tips for small space living and wondering how they're making it work. And some people are just watching and waiting for a disaster to unfold. Here's the problem. The issue is that the family is making money by filming their children in unsuitable and unstable living conditions. The children are unable to process and express whether they're comfortable with this lifestyle and also being filmed. So the question is it the parents' responsibility to not engage in nomadic lifestyles if they're not stable financially and they have children that are very young?
Hi guys, this is our family of 6, soon to be 7, in a 1-bedroom apartment. First of all, don't. What is selfish is taking a family's poverty position and making it your profit.
Now, what's truly selfish is you choosing to continue to have children that you cannot afford to safely house or raise. Despite their best interests and their health, you want them, and then you exploit them by making it a mommy vlog. So let's dive into the mommy vlogger who's going viral right now under the name Resilient Jenkins, family of 6 going on 7, who's all living in a 1-bedroom apartment. The whole situation seems to just keep getting worse. We even talked about it and dove into the statistics last year that there is a healthy limit of children that any family on any income can have, let alone if you can't afford to properly house them or even give them beds. So let's walk through everything I've found so far and then talk about it. So this woman is a stay-at-home mom, and originally she had 2 girls of her own. And then she met the dad who does gig work like DoorDash and Uber driving, and he had a son. They moved in together and they got married. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. They have 3 kids. They can't afford more than a 1-bedroom apartment. You gotta do what you gotta do sometimes. That would have been fine if they just gave those kids the bedroom and they slept in the living room, but it gets worse. They decided that despite the fact that they can't afford a home that's large enough for everyone, they wanted to, on purpose, continue to have children. And she's also made it very clear this whole time, her goal has been to go viral and turn this all into a mommy vlog situation that they can make money off of to continue having kids past this point. And all this thought process proves to me already that you're not actually really thinking about these kids and what's in their best interest. You yourself, for your own reasons, just want to keep having children. Like myself, for example, I am a single woman who cannot afford a 1-bedroom apartment. I live in a studio, and if I never make it out of the studio, I will not be having children because this is not an environment to be raising children in. Now, accidents happen, and that's a different story entirely sometimes. But if I ever have children, I will be planning that around what is best for those children. Now, it does get even worse because all of the children are made to sleep in this living room area, and they all have foam mattresses, not really real beds. The only real bed is the bed that the parents sleep on, and they have decided for themselves to take the 1-bedroom, which leaves all of the kids sharing this area out here right next to the door that leads into the parking lot. Can you imagine how that might also be a bit dangerous? How it might be safer for all the kids to go into that bedroom and the parents to at least be kind of blocking the exit to the door? On top of that, they've made it known that a large portion of this area has become storage for the family, of course, because it's a 1-bedroom. Where are you going to store all of this stuff? So now the kids' room, if you want to even call it that, has become exponentially smaller. Again, it would just make more sense to me to have the parents sleep out in this room, but they are not thinking in the best interest of the children. And all this became even more clear to me when I saw her saying things kind of like, oh, we finally did it, we went viral, but I always kind of knew it would be for hate and awful things. Now, ma'am, if you think that your lifestyle is perfectly fine, why would you just assume that everyone on the internet would be upset about it someday? Are you acknowledging that perhaps there's a problem with you willingly and purposefully bringing children into this situation? And I also want to be super clear because I feel like this gets lost in some of my videos. I have no problems with vloggers who become mommies. The issue is mommy vloggers, such as this instance where they just start purposefully having kids to continue to make money. That's where we shift into that area where it's not really thinking about the children. You know who is thinking about the children? That's right, I had to do it because I'm literally packing to head out to Detroit, where I will be helping out in the final stretch here. Please make sure you read these policies because she's the one that's trying to uplift the middle class and make life more affordable so that maybe this woman can get out of that 1-bedroom apartment and get those kids some bedrooms.
Case study number 2 would be about the Foolishness couple, Leland and his girlfriend Brianna, whose internet fame started when Leland filmed himself taking food from his job. It was leftover food from the shift. And also them filming themselves living in a storage unit. So people were not really upset about the food waste situation because there is a lot of food that goes to waste. So the fact that the food was going to him and his girlfriend, people were really not concerned about that. The issue is when his videos went viral and his employer found out and he was fired. And that leads us to today. So Leland and his girlfriend are now living nomadically. So they're bouncing from hotel to tents, and of course they've lived in a storage unit, and they document all of it. And here is where people start to ask questions. Is it real or is it performative? He has shared that he and his girlfriend have gained, or I guess earned via social media, at least $3,000 at one point for one of their videos or a few of their videos. And this has been, I'm pretty sure, continuous because they're very popular online. So are they continuing to engage in this niche because it provides the most engagement? Do they actually have a plan on, eventually escaping this sort of lifestyle? I mean, the lifestyle is very taxing on the body. So it seems like they don't really have an end goal, but I guess we'll just have to see. He does mention Leland, that living in the woods, living in a tent is better and allows them to stack money. So if they're able to follow his plan of living in the woods and stacking money, where will that money go to? Do they plan on getting a home and living somewhere and being stable, or will it just always be just living in the woods in a tent? So here's a question for the viewers. Would you stay with someone who isn't interested in seeking long-term housing? And specifically, would you stay with someone who seems more interested in feeling poverty than escaping it?
So it looks like we're not going to go forward with renewing our lease with you guys because you broke like a couple rules in our rental agreement. So you have like 48 hours to remove all your stuff.
The units can't be utilized for housing purposes.
We not getting a job. It sound like y'all jealous because we found a way to make it work without a job, and you still got to work a 9 to 5, pushing 40 hours plus a week. That's on you.
Hey, don't forget about my 401k and pension, all right? My man says we ain't getting no job. I ain't never heard something like this in my life. I understand the free movement of you wanting to travel around the country and not pay bills and stay in an RV and explore. But it's one thing to do that all broke and then be willing to not go get money. Insane. Like, bro, we talking about people that got 9 to 5. Like, bro, sir, it is essential to have a job in the United States of America. I understand, okay, you don't want to pay bills, I understand that, but brother, you're sleeping in a tent in the middle of the woods, all right? This isn't a free spirit, you're homeless. Talking about something, I ain't getting no job. Oh, we know you ain't getting no job because you got fired from your last one doing dumb shit. And then his most recent video on his page is when you're homeless and soaked, in which it rained all over his tent and everything is destroyed. Like, bro, why do you want to live like that? Why are you willingly want to live like that? You ain't no free spirit, brother. This is lazy. I hate to knock it to you, but brother, you're complacent. You're complacent and you're comfortable. That's your problem. Your ass has become comfortable with living homeless and not even living check to check. You're not even making $0 an hour. No direct deposit, no cashier's check, nothing. You're making $0. How the hell are you $0 an hour? Come on, man. This man.
All this boils down to is the viewers. Yes, you. If this content is not viewed by an audience, then the content creators would not be making the content. People are watching this content for various reasons, including curiosity, empathy, gratitude that their lives are in better shape. We should reflect on what we intake, how it makes us feel, and the reason why we're seeking out these experiences. So to recap, poverty porn is the exploitation of poverty for profit or emotional manipulation. It's been around forever. From those starving children charity ads to today's living in my car YouTube channels and TikToks. The internet has made it easier than ever to monetize suffering, and the algorithm rewards it. And just because you can make money filming you or someone else's poverty or vulnerability doesn't mean that you should, especially when children are involved. Resilient Jenkins films her children living in cramped, unstable, unsuitable conditions while making money from it. Foolishness seems to be performing homelessness as a content niche rather than trying to escape it. And we, as the audience, enable this by watching. So the next time you watch one of these videos or it comes across your feed, ask yourself this: am I watching to help, or am I watching to feel better about my own life? And more importantly, is my view actually helping them, or just helping the algorithm decide to show me more people suffering? Drop a comment below for this question and others, and also just your thoughts about this video and this topic. Have you seen this type of content? What do you think? Let's talk about it below, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you very much.